Welcome everybody to the Premier League Gambling Podcast. This is Bangers and Cash, Ep.3, the improbably sausage-themed NFL pre-game live international series show brought to you by the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. My name is Malcolm Bamford, coming to you from Newcastle upon Tyne in the northeast of England, and I am joined, as always, by Mr. Barry Pernaluna. Barry, I messaged you about an hour ago to ask if we were all set, and you did nothing but moan about everything. You've now come on the live stream. You look like you're ready for Halloween. You look like a big orange pumpkin. What the hell's wrong with you?
I was drinking last night.
Oh, no.
Up in Newcastle. And I had to get back this morning, nice and early, for a girls' soccer game. So I was on the road. Well, this is for the Americans in it, so I'm going to call it soccer on this occasion. I was on the road at 7 a.m. this morning. Absolutely brutal it was. I was tired. I was hungover, headache, sick, absolutely everything. So, I've had a mare. I'm struggling. I can't speak. The worst of it, I'll talk about later on the soccer podcast, on the Premier League Gambling Podcast. Because what a sight I've been today. But the full story will be told this evening on the Premier League Gambling Podcast, which is the correct audience for these tales.
Yeah. So, give it a few hours. We'll be back in 6 hours when you've pulled yourself together a little bit and you can give us a little bit more of the tale. Did everybody enjoy your spread that you put on?
Yeah, so I hosted, I was catering for my brother's ice hockey team. They were having their end-of-season presentation. We had pulled pork, we had hot dogs, we had chicken kebabs, nachos, done all sorts. So, it went down a treat. Everybody loved it.
Good effort, Baz. So today, the show's been in good form, Baz. The episode 1 and 2, the two Jacksonville games. I think we picked up Jacksonville on the handicap both weeks. We've had the unders both weeks. The player props were good. Last week, I just wish I'd been brave enough, Baz, to take Jacksonville on the money line, because I took them just about everywhere else except the finishing line. I had them after the first half. I had them at half time. And then I thought the Bills might just wear them down. So I was delighted with myself at half time. I picked up quite a lot of plus money winners. But then the Bills' comeback never materialised, really, and Jacksonville held on. But we've got no Jacksonville this week. They have returned home. And this week, it is the Ravens at the Titans. But first things first, Baz, sausages. It's quite important that we deal with the sausage issues of the day. What are you? Is this sausage? Is it a recovery sausage or what?
No, this is a last-minute sausage because I walked in the house literally 10 minutes ago. And even this turned into a disaster, Malcolm. I chopped up some chorizo sausage for a little tapas dish.
Okay.
So I chopped it up, fried it in a pan, a little bit of chili honey for a bit of sweetness to it. Put it in the pan, turned the pan on, quickly went to the toilet and came back down as the smoke alarms were going off. So I'm actually in a big haze of smoke in the kitchen. The chorizo gets quite smoky anyway, doesn't it? I left it about 30 seconds too long. So it's burnt. I'm sitting here in the smoke, can barely breathe, but it's chorizo. Let's get in amongst it.
With every sentence you utter, Baz, I feel a bit better about my life. I was feeling a bit tired and grumpy, but the state of you. Well, last week was chorizo, heavy Barry, and what I was very conscious of doing, I didn't want to scare off the working class sausage eater, Barry, because last week we were all chorizo, there was olive oil, it was all a bit tapasy, a bit fancy. So, Baz, I've gone route 1 today, very, very route 1. 10 hot dogs.
Classic.
10 hot dogs in a tin, about 48 pence, I reckon, for 8. 100% pig's lips and cow's elbow skin. That's the only thing in there. And there's no greater recipe, really, than with the tinned hot dog than eat it out the tin. I would have said, you're straight in. If you're proper hardcore, you can drink the juice. The brine, if you want. Get the electrolyte. That'll sort your hangover out, but
yeah.
Get the brine. So there you go. Who's in the chat? Slick Rick's, yeah. Rick first in. Noah. NB 77. our man. Noah, why don't you click that link and come and make some picks, you bozo? Noah never ever sleeps. He hasn't slept for about 4 years. He's a madman, a stone cold madman. Yeah, I tell you what, this is a great hot dog, Baz. So, no Jags this week, Barry. Ravens are 8-17 on the money line, minus 212. The Titans are 7-4, plus 175. I handicapped this yesterday or the day before. Spread was at 4 points. It's moved. We've got some movement. The Titans are now catching 5.5. Yeah, so Ravens minus 5.5, 10-11. The Titans plus 5.5, 10-11, with a total of 42. What was your initial instinct on this one, Baz?
First things first was the unders. I like the unders in this game. I'm just realising I've got my notes up from last week, so I'm about to tell you all my thoughts for the Jags game again.
Having a bad day.
I am having an absolute nightmare today.
You need to go.
No, under 42.5. London games in general, quite low scoring. Although I did mention last week, the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium seems to have much higher totals than the Wembley Stadium games. So don't like that angle much, but I do like the fact that both of these teams are regularly going under this line of 42.5. Both teams have gone under 42.5, 4 out of their 5 games. So, as I say, despite the fact the totals have historically been higher, I mean, I went over last week because of the Spurs Stadium thing. The line was 48.5 last week. We only got to 45, so it only just fell short. But there was a lot of late scoring there, which got it.
It was never going to get there, was it? It was always going under. You never felt like you were going over in that one.
But the way these two teams are playing and the form they're in, I think the under has to be the starting point for me in terms of the main markets here. Obviously, as you know, my main picks will always be my props. I like my prop bets, so I'll come on to those in a bit. But unders, and for me, it's the Ravens. Even at 5.5, I think the Ravens are gonna win this. They've been over here all week, whereas I think the Titans came in last minute. I don't know how much of a thing that is. You know,
I think it makes quite a big difference. Like, there's quite a bit of data, Barry. I said the teams would come here and get organised. We saw it with Jacksonville last week. That was one of the big handicaps on the Jags, was it? I think it makes a big old difference.
Yeah, because I mean, the Ravens literally flew straight out after last week's game, and they've been here since Monday. So you just feel like there's an opportunity there. They might be better prepped, having been fueled by some great British cuisine all week. Sean on the mothership is constantly bashing the UK food. So yeah, I think the Ravens might prove him wrong here, fueled by some great British food. But yeah, I'm going, even with a minus 5.5, I'm taking the Ravens here.
Sean's taken to throw out a British accent once or twice a week on that show as well, Barry. I don't know where he's getting off, and he's smelling himself a little bit. He's throwing a British accent in. Yeah, I've taken the unders as well, Barry. So last week we mentioned that 5-1 record at Tottenham, but I do think it was just it's a very, very small sample size, and it's probably more the teams that have played more than anything else, because that game was never, ever going over. And I wrote down those exact numbers that you did, Baz, about the teams going under. Baltimore game totals, 27, 31, 41. We've got a 51 in there, then a 34, 4 out of 5. And the Titans, 39, 30, 30, a 51, and a 31. So under, and pretty comfortably under as well, you would have said, for the majority of them. So the under 42.5 is going to be my pick. But I've come on the other side, Baz. As much as I think the Baltimore will win, but catching the points, I was happy to take 4 because it's just crossing a key number, isn't it? Looks like a field goal game. I think they can lose by a field goal and still cover. That's actually moved to 5.5 now. But in a low-scoring game, I much prefer the team with the points. I prefer Tennessee getting the 5.5. And it's 2 poor quarterbacks here. Tannehill is on the hot seat, really. There's been talk this week that if he doesn't perform, he could be toast. He could be benched going forward. as soon as next week. So, yeah, I can't see any version of this game that develops into a shootout. I just can't see it. So, yeah, under 42.5, but I'm going to be on the other side, Baz, unfortunately. If you take the Ravens, I'll take the Titans.
Yeah, I could have made an argument either way. I think it is two poor teams, two poor quarterbacks, as you say. There's arguments either side. As I say, I'll come down on the opposite side of it, but certainly wouldn't talk anyone out of going opposingly on that. It was the hardest. I think it's been a hard game to handicap, whereas I felt a bit more comfortable with the previous 2 weeks. So, yeah, tricky one.
Matthew Hennings has joined us in the chat. Matthew is a Premier League gambling podcast stalwart, and he's here for a bit of bangers and cash this morning. If anyone who's watching wants to throw out some picks either for this game or for the rest of the card, I need a little bit of help with the rest of the card. It's really, really hard. I've got 2 written down for later on, but I need a little bit of help for the evening slate tonight. So yeah, give us a clue if you want. Moving across, Baz, to the player props. This is where you come into your own. Go on. You lead us off, mate, and I'll hit you with mine.
Done quite well with the player props last week. Took Calvin Ridley overs. That came in quite early, and Trevor Lawrence under 1.5 touchdown passes, and that came in despite him getting his one early. That was it. So yeah, done well with the props last week. So see how we can do this week. Again, tricky. If this was in the main slate of games tonight, I probably wouldn't have made a pick in terms of props, but because it isn't, I've made 3. I'm going to start off with Gus Edwards. Get on the Gus bus. So over 41.5 rushing yards. He's gone over this line in each of the last 4 games. He's averaging 4.3 yards a carry. So it probably, likely only needs around 10 carries or more, which he's also had in his last 4 games. He's not getting any big, long runs. His longest rush of this season is 20 yards. So it's more likely to need the volume rather than picking off a big one. But I think there's enough in the stats to suggest over 41.5 should be achievable for Gus Edwards. So kicking off the props with Gus Edwards over 41.5 rushing yards.
Okay. My angling here starts with Derrick Henry. But it's not particularly, it's not Derrick Henry based. He hasn't really looked very good this season. He's had one good game. He's had lots of attempts in the 2 home games that Tennessee have played. But I'm just not really interested in him. He's not sluggish. He just hasn't really done it because this offense is struggling to fire a bit. But the Derrick Henry being on the down part of his cycle has led me to Ty J. Spears, Baz. Ty J. Spears is someone we picked up on the cheap in our Guillotine League, which we're somehow still surviving in. So he's been on my radar, so I've been keeping an eye on him. And he's very quietly just been getting more integrated in the games here in the Tennessee offense. He's had 27 rushing attempts in his 5 games and 19 targets. He's been really efficient in 4 of those 5. He got his first touchdown last week. And just everything's trending up. He's getting more and more involved every week. He's trending in the right direction. So there's 3 plays here. You can play them all or you can pick one. Over 26.5 rushing yards for Spears. He's hit 4 out of 5 so far. Over 15.5 receiving yards. He's hit twice in a row. He's hit 18 and 35 in his last 2. And then the total, if you want to combine the 2, just as a bit of a safety net, 45.5 rushing and receiving. His last 2 games have gone 74 and 81. And again, I just think games from everything points towards Spears' role growing in this team, in this offense. And I think that can carry on in this game. So yeah, Ty J. Spears, a little bit of everything, rushing, receiving, or combine the 2. Baz would be my player props here.
Yeah, I've got another 2 player props next up. So I've already went with Ravens on the ground. This time it's in the air. Mark Andrews, over 4.5 receptions, minus 115. He's had 5, 4, 5, and 6. So covered that in 3 of the last 4. And I also like his yards. I'm quite happy to take them both and might parlay them up in a bit of a same game parlay. His yards is at over 52.5, minus 110. Last 2 weeks, he's seen a bit of an uptick. 65 last week against the Steelers, 80 yards the week before against the Browns. So yeah, I like Andrews to go over on both his receptions and yards. So over 4.5 receptions and over 52.5 yards.
Slicks Rick has thrown out 124 to 1 price. That's what we like, Barry. That's what we're here for. Gus Edwards' first touchdown. Justice Hill last touchdown at 124 to 1. That's a play. And Noah's trying to talk me into back the Patriots later on, but I'm not sure I've got it in me. There's probably it might be quite a sharp angle, Noah, but I don't think I don't think I'm ready for that. I'm first touchdowns next, Baz. You got any player props anymore?
One more prop. I haven't got any touchdown pick this week, so I've gone for a bit of a different angle on the props, and it's a kicker points prop. I've got Nick Folk to go over 5.5 points.
Okay.
He's hit 13 field goals, made 13 field goals in 5 games so far. So he's averaging closer to 3 made field goals per game. It's a little bit juiced, minus 135, but I think it looks a good bet. He's covered it. He's covered the 5.5 points in 4 of his 5 games so far. So minus 135 for Folk to get over 5.5 points in the game is a pick that stood out for me. I like that a lot.
Yeah, that fits in with the 2 quarterbacks sort of struggling to get it done in the red zone. You see a little 4th and 12, 42-yard field goal. First touchdown markets for me. The first one is boring. It's very chalky. It's Mark Andrews. I'm a plus 850. He's just the go-to guy in the red zone. It's the first look every single time. Big body. He pulls them down. So Mark Andrews a plus 850. I had to put Ty Spears in because I've talked him up and I would kick myself if I didn't. I'm actually not trying to be too cute here, but I think he's more of a last touchdown play than a first touchdown. So 14 to 1 last touchdown. And I think he's round about plus 375 anytime. And a little bit of a bigger price is Chig Okonkwo. It was 18 to 1. And saw a season high 9 targets last time out. So obviously getting integrated in that offense. So Andrews plus 850, Spears 14 to 1, preferably last touchdown, and Chig Okonkwo at 18 to 1. Build a bet, Barry. You want me to go on?
Because I'm on the Ravens side of it, I think for me, Zay Flowers at 10 to 1, first touchdown would be a one I would like to have a go on. So yeah, I might have a go. Zay Flowers 10 to 1, first touchdown.
So build a bet, Baz. I have got a little one on. I picked a 35 to 1 build a bet here. 4 legs. Now, one of these legs involves Tennessee. So Tennessee with the points, which doesn't help you much out. My build a bet here is Tennessee plus 4.5 points. The game total under 42.5. Mark Andrews, anytime touchdown, and Ty Spears. Oh shit, that says under 45.5 rushing yards. What I actually wanted was over 45.5 rushing yards. So I put that bet on wrong, Baz. But that's the bet. The bet is Titans with the points, unders, Mark Andrews anytime, and Spears over 45.5 rushing and receiving. Have you had your high visibility jacket out?
I haven't made a bet builder today. I thought we were going to do one on the show, to be honest.
Well, you want to throw one together now?
Let's. I'm going to put one together. I'm going to pick. I'll start with the unders, like you did, because I've gone for that. I like, as an anytime touchdown scorer, I will take Lamar Jackson, just to double things up a bit. I mean, we haven't got the old underdog fantasy, have we? So we can't have any of our scorchers or
any
of those spicy picks. We haven't got any of that action over here in the UK yet. So hopefully we'll see. So yeah, over 41.5 points. Lamar Jackson to score a touchdown, and I'm going to go with Mark Andrews over 52.5. One more pick will be Gus Edwards over 42.5. That comes in at 17-2 plus 850. We'll stick a fiver on that. There we go. Done. Bet builder. Done.
Easy game, Baz. Looking on the rest of the card then, before we get off for kick-off, the teams are coming out of the tunnel live at Tottenham Stadium as we speak. Texas on the money line for me, plus 110. Is the play I like against the Saints. And it's a really tricky card, Baz. There's a lot of point spreads. Texas aren't playing the Saints. Who were Texas playing? Not play the Saints last week.
Texans, did you say?
Texans, yeah.
Not Texas.
Yeah, I've got my baseball head on again. Yeah, Texans against the Saints, yeah. Texans are plus 11 to 10, plus 110. The Indianapolis-Jacksonville game is a really fascinating game, Baz. It's really odd. The more I look at it, the more I like Indy. On the money line, plus 170, Barry. So they would be a couple of underdogs. But if you take two of them, a little bit of profit if one comes in, you might be lucky enough to hit both. So India plus 170 and the Texans at plus 110.
Yeah, the underdog I've picked out is the Bears to beat the Vikings, plus 140. And on the spread markets, I like the Bengals giving up -3. So yeah, Bengals -3 over the Seahawks and the Bears to beat the Vikings, plus 140. Those were the two picks I've picked out for the later card.
We've got one here off Matthew. Matthew's lock is the Rams.
Yes, I like that as well.
The minus, yeah, I must admit that was on my radar as well. I like that.
Rams will run up a score tonight against the Cardinals, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, I like
that. I like the total in that one actually. Look low, 47, 48, something like that.
Just having a quick look now. That's a late game, isn't it, for us? Yeah, over 47.5 on the Cardinals and Rams. Yeah. That'll be my late action. That'll take me up to midnight. And that'll, I'll be lucky if I make it to midnight, to be honest. I'm
yeah, by the sounds of it, Baz, you'll be lucky if you make it through the next hour.
I'll be sitting on the sofa. I'll put this game on now, and I'll probably be asleep in the next 20 minutes, I would imagine.
I'm going to go watch this in the bath, Baz, is what I'm going to do. So don't expect any sense out of me for the next couple of hours. We'll be back in about 6 hours to have a look at the more international stuff, because we had a great weekend. Lots of winners, a couple more games tonight as well. So 8:30 will be more international picks on the Premier League show. Enjoy your NFL Sunday, everyone. Thanks, Barry. Thanks, everyone who joined us in the chat. Good luck with your bets. And we'll see you down the road. Cheers.